Maya Chen sat in the back corner of advanced xenobiology, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing various alien anatomical structures. To her classmates at the Galactic Defense Academy, she was just another quiet human who barely spoke above a whisper. They saw her small frame, barely 5 feet tall, and her tendency to avoid eye contact during group discussions. What they didn't see was how her fingers unconsciously traced the exact points where each alien species' nervous system could be severed with a single precise strike. Professor Veltar, a towering Zephyrian with crystalline skin, gestured toward the projection of a Krillian warrior. These beings stand 12 feet tall and possess natural armor plating. Their military doctrine emphasizes brute force and overwhelming numbers. Miss Chen, perhaps you could share your thoughts on defensive strategies against such opponents? The classroom fell silent. Maya's classmates exchanged glances, some rolling their eyes. She rarely participated in discussions, and when she did, her answers were always brief and unremarkable. They expected another mumbled response about studying the textbook materials. Maya looked up slowly, her voice barely audible. Their armor has weak points at the joints. The respiratory system can be compromised through a strike to the throat cavity located 3 inches below their secondary jaw. A blade angled upward at 47 degrees would sever the main neural pathway, causing immediate paralysis. The classroom erupted in nervous laughter. "That's quite specific," Professor Veltar said, his crystalline features shifting in what might have been amusement. "Have you been reading ahead in the tactical manuals?" "No, sir," Maya replied, her gaze dropping back to her tablet. "Just observation." What her classmates didn't know was that Maya Chen had been observing much more than classroom projections. For the past 6 months, she had been systematically studying every alien species represented at the Academy. Not their cultures or technologies, but their anatomies, their weaknesses, their kill points. She memorized the exact pressure needed to collapse a Thrakari's breathing passages, the precise angle required to penetrate a Zolarian's natural shielding, the specific nerve clusters that would incapacitate a Mordanian before they could activate their combat implants. After class, Marcus Webb, a stocky human from Earth's military colonies, approached her desk. "Hey, Maya, that was pretty intense back there. You thinking about joining the tactical analysis program?" Maya gathered her materials without making eye contact. "I haven't decided on a specialization yet." "Well, if you want to study together sometime," Marcus began, but Maya was already walking away, her soft-soled shoes making no sound on the metal flooring. She moved through the academy corridors like a shadow, noting everything. The Scorian exchange students always traveled in groups of 3, leaving their backs exposed when they stopped to examine the human architecture. The Vorthak delegation kept their ceremonial weapons poorly secured, the magnetic locks easily bypassed with the right frequency disruption. The hegemony observers maintained a patrol pattern that left a 17-second window of vulnerability every 3 hours. Maya's dormitory room was Spartanly furnished, exactly as regulations required, but hidden beneath her regulation mattress was a collection of detailed anatomical sketches, weapon specifications, and tactical assessments written in a code she had developed herself. Each page contained information that could theoretically eliminate entire species from the galactic stage. She wasn't planning genocide. She was preparing for war. The truth was that Maya Chen wasn't just another Academy student. She was the sole survivor of Colony Kepler 442b, where her family had been among the first civilian casualties of the Vashti hegemony's experimental warfare division. She had watched from a supply closet as her parents and younger brother were systematically eliminated by creatures that the Galactic Council insisted were peaceful explorers. The official report listed the incident as a tragic misunderstanding. The Vashti claimed they had mistaken the colonists for hostile insurgents. The council accepted their explanation, offering token reparations and promises of better communication protocols. Maya knew better. She had seen the methodical way the Vashti had moved through their settlement. She had watched them take detailed recordings of each killing, studying human anatomy and responses to various forms of trauma. The colonists hadn't been victims of a misunderstanding. They had been test subjects. Now, 3 years later, Maya had secured admission to the galaxy's most prestigious military academy under a scholarship program for survivors of colonial incidents. The council believed they were helping a traumatized young woman find closure through education and service. They had no idea they were training their own weapon. Every evening, Maya practiced in the Academy's combat simulation chambers. She requested scenarios involving every known hostile species, claiming academic interest in defensive strategies. The AI instructors praised her dedication to learning, never questioning why she always selected the most violent and realistic settings available. In the darkened simulation chamber, Maya became someone else entirely. Her movements flowed like water, each strike calculated to maximum effect. She didn't practice to defend or subdue. She practiced to kill. The Zephyrian nervous system could be overloaded through their crystalline matrix with precisely applied electromagnetic pressure. The Thrakari's multiple hearts created a false sense of redundancy, but their central circulation nexus remained vulnerable to a blade inserted at exactly the right angle. The Mordanians' combat implants could be turned against them if you knew which bio-neural pathways to disrupt. Night after night, Maya perfected techniques for ending lives that officially didn't need ending. The galaxy was at peace, the Council proclaimed. The various species were learning to coexist through diplomacy and mutual understanding. But Maya remembered the screams from Colony Kepler 442b. She remembered her mother's last words, begging the Vashti to spare her children. She remembered her brother's eyes as the life faded from them. The galaxy might be at peace, but Maya Chen was preparing for war. As weeks passed, her reputation as the quiet girl in the back of the classroom solidified. Teachers saw her as studious but unremarkable. Classmates viewed her as antisocial and possibly damaged by whatever colonial trauma had brought her to the academy. Even the academy's psychological evaluators noted her withdrawn behavior, but attributed it to normal adjustment difficulties. None of them recognized the predator in their midst. Maya's opportunity came during the annual interspecies cultural exchange, a week-long celebration designed to promote understanding between the Academy's diverse student population. Representatives from dozens of species would demonstrate their cultures, share their histories, and participate in friendly competitions. More importantly, they would lower their guards. Maya volunteered for the organization committee, a decision that surprised her instructors, but pleased the Academy's administration. Here was a troubled young woman finally attempting to engage with her peers and embrace the Academy's mission of galactic unity. They assigned her to security coordination, believing that her tactical studies would be useful for managing crowd control and emergency protocols. Maya accepted the assignment with the same quiet demeanor she had maintained for months. What they didn't realize was that they had just given the galaxy's most dangerous human complete access to the security systems, patrol schedules, and emergency protocols for an event that would bring together representatives of every major species in the galactic community. Maya Chen was no longer just preparing for war. She was about to declare it. The cultural exchange began with great fanfare. Dignitaries from across the galaxy gathered in the Academy's central plaza, their various forms creating a spectacular display of biological diversity. Maya stood at her assigned security station, monitoring crowd flows on her tablet while cataloging every potential target within her field of vision. Ambassador Vel Nash of the Vashti hegemony had arrived that morning with a delegation of 12. Maya recognized them instantly from her research, the same species that had butchered her family. They moved through the crowd with practiced elegance, their serpentine forms graceful despite their predatory nature. To the assembled dignitaries, they represented one of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. To Maya, they represented justice delayed. "Chen, we need you to escort the hegemony delegation to the main pavilion," came the voice of Security Chief Ramones through her communicator. "They've requested additional protection after receiving some anonymous threats." Maya almost smiled at the irony. "Understood, Chief. En route." She approached the Vashti delegation with the same quiet deference she had shown throughout her time at the Academy. Ambassador Velnash barely acknowledged her presence, dismissing her with the casual arrogance that had defined his species' interactions with humans since first contact. "You will maintain a discreet distance," Velnash instructed, his translated voice carrying the usual condescension. "We do not require the close proximity of lesser species for our protection." "Of course, Ambassador," Maya replied softly, falling into step 20 feet behind the group. The delegation moved toward the pavilion where they would present their cultural exhibits. Maya noted their formation, loose and overconfident, with no real attention to tactical positioning. They had grown comfortable in their dominance, secure in the belief that their technological superiority made them untouchable. Maya had spent 3 years proving that belief wrong. As they passed through a maintenance corridor leading to the pavilion, Maya activated a small device she had constructed from Academy workshop materials. The electromagnetic pulse was precisely calibrated to disrupt Vashti neural implants without affecting other species' technology. The delegation stumbled as their enhanced senses and communications went offline. "Security breach," Maya announced calmly into her communicator, her voice carrying just the right note of professional concern. "Delegation Epsilon 7 reporting technical difficulties in Corridor C12, initiating emergency protocols." The Academy's automated systems responded exactly as Maya had programmed them during her weeks of security preparation. Emergency bulkheads sealed the corridor, atmospheric controls shifted to backup systems, and surveillance feeds looped previous footage to show empty hallways. For the next 17 minutes, Maya Chen and the Vashti delegation would be completely isolated from the rest of the Academy. "What is the meaning of this?" Ambassador Velnash demanded, his natural voice carrying a harsh sibilance without the translation matrix. "Our neural links have been compromised." Maya stepped closer, her small frame no longer appearing quite so harmless. "Technical difficulties, Ambassador, nothing to worry about." One of the Vashti guards, a warrior named Sekhar according to Maya's research, moved to activate a backup communication device. Maya's hand moved faster than Vashti reflexes could track. The device shattered against the wall, followed immediately by Sekhar's wrist. The scream that followed was the first sound Sekhar had ever made that Maya found pleasant. "Impossible," Velnash hissed. "Humans lack the physical capabilities for such speed." "Most humans do," Maya agreed, producing a slender blade from her uniform sleeve. "But most humans weren't trained by watching their families die." Recognition dawned in the ambassador's serpentine eyes. "Colony Kepler, 442b. You are the survivor." "I am the witness," Maya corrected. "And today, I am the judge." The Vashti delegation spread out in a defensive formation that would have been effective against any conventional threat. But Maya had studied their combat doctrines for 3 years. She knew exactly how they would move, where they would position themselves, what tactics they would employ. More importantly, she knew how to kill them. The first guard died before the others realized the attack had begun. Maya's blade found the gap between his cervical vertebrae, severing the spinal cord that controlled his nervous system. He dropped without a sound, his natural armor useless against surgical precision. The second guard managed to draw his energy weapon before Maya's strike pierced his primary heart. Vashti physiology included redundant cardiovascular systems, But Maya had learned that the redundancy was an illusion. Damage to the primary heart triggered a catastrophic feedback loop that the backup systems couldn't compensate for. Impossible, Velnash repeated, but his voice carried less certainty now. Human reflexes cannot match Vashti combat enhancement. Maya spun away from the third guard's attack, her movement flowing like water around stone. Her blade traced a perfect arc across his throat, finding the exact point where the major arteries converged. Blood sprayed in a pattern Maya had practiced countless times in simulation. "You're right," she said, advancing on the remaining delegation members. "Human reflexes can't match yours, but human intelligence can predict them." The fourth and fifth guards attacked simultaneously, believing their coordinated assault would overwhelm a single opponent. Maya had anticipated this exact scenario. She dropped low, sweeping one guard's legs while her blade found the other's femoral nerve cluster. Both collapsed, one paralyzed, the other temporarily immobilized by damaged motor functions. Ambassador Velnash backed against the sealed bulkhead, his diplomatic composure finally cracking. "This is madness! The Council will never allow such an act to go unpunished." "The Council allowed my family's murder to go unpunished," Maya replied, stepping over the bodies of his guards. "I think their track record on justice speaks for itself." She was 2 steps away from the ambassador when the corridor's emergency systems activated. The bulkheads began cycling open as Academy security forces prepared to investigate the extended lockdown. Maya paused, her blade hovering inches from Velnash's throat. She could complete her mission, eliminate the architect of her family's destruction, and send a message that human lives had value. But doing so would expose her true nature, ending any chance of addressing the larger threat the Vashti represented. In that moment of hesitation, Maya made a choice that would define the rest of her war. She stepped back, allowing Velnash to live. "This isn't over," she whispered, her voice carrying a promise that made the ambassador's reptilian features pale. When security forces breached the corridor 30 seconds later, they found Maya Chen kneeling beside the bodies of 5 Vashti guards, her hands pressed against wounds in a futile attempt at medical aid. Her uniform was stained with blood, her small frame shaking with apparent shock. "They just collapsed," she reported to Chief Ramones, her voice trembling with perfectly practiced trauma. "Some kind of neural feedback from the electromagnetic pulse. I tried to help them, but their physiology is so different from human medicine." The official investigation concluded that the electromagnetic pulse had interacted unexpectedly with Vashti neural enhancement technology, causing catastrophic system failures that resulted in 5 deaths. Maya Chen was commended for her quick thinking in attempting medical assistance and her professional handling of a tragic accident. Ambassador Velnash said nothing to contradict the official report. He understood that accusing a human academy student of single-handedly eliminating 5 enhanced Vashti warriors would only invite questions about why such a thing was possible. But Maya saw the fear in his serpentine eyes during his testimony. She saw how his hands trembled when he described finding his guards mysteriously dead. Most importantly, she saw the message he sent to Vashti High Command immediately after giving his statement. The message was brief and coded, but Maya had learned to read Vashti communication protocols during her 3 years of preparation. Translated, it read, "Cancel all colonial expansion operations in human space, immediately." Maya returned to her dormitory that evening with the same quiet demeanor she had maintained for months. Her classmates offered sympathetic words about the tragic accident she had witnessed. Her instructors praised her composure under pressure. None of them realized that the quiet girl in the back of the classroom had just won the opening battle of a war the galaxy didn't know it was fighting. The Vashti delegation departed the academy the next morning, their cultural exchange presentation canceled due to security concerns. Ambassador Velnash avoided eye contact with Maya during their departure, but she felt his attention like a weight across her shoulders. That evening, Maya updated her hidden files with detailed analysis of Vashti combat capabilities under stress conditions. The information would be valuable for future encounters, should the opportunity arise. She was quite certain it would. 3 months after the cultural exchange, Maya's reputation at the academy remained unchanged. She was still the quiet human girl who sat in the back of classrooms and barely spoke above a whisper. Her instructors continued to view her as academically gifted, but socially withdrawn. Her classmates still found her unremarkable and slightly awkward. What they didn't notice were the subtle changes occurring throughout the galactic community. Vashti colonial expansion had mysteriously halted. The Thrakari Confederation had withdrawn their deep space exploration fleets. The Mordanian Empire had canceled 3 major military exercises. Species after species was quietly scaling back their operations in human space, citing budget concerns or strategic reassessments. Maya knew better. She had been monitoring galactic communications through the Academy's intelligence databases, tracking the flow of classified information between alien governments. The truth was written in coded diplomatic messages and encrypted military reports. The galaxy's predator species were afraid. News of the cultural exchange incident had spread through back channels like wildfire. 5 enhanced Vashti warriors dead in a locked corridor. No weapon signatures. No evidence of conventional combat. Just a small human girl covered in blood, claiming she had tried to help. The official report spoke of technical failures and neural feedback, but the classified assessments told a different story. Autopsy results that didn't match the official explanation. Wound patterns that suggested surgical precision. Timeline analyses that revealed impossible reaction speeds. The galaxy's military leaders were beginning to ask uncomfortable questions about human capabilities. Questions that Maya had spent 3 years preparing to answer. Her first recruitment approach came from an unexpected source. Professor Veltar requested a private meeting during his office hours, claiming concern about her academic performance. Maya arrived at the appointed time, maintaining her usual quiet demeanor. "Miss Chen, please sit," the Zephyrian professor gestured to a chair across from his crystalline desk. "I wanted to discuss your recent tactical assessments. Your work has shown remarkable insight into xenobiological vulnerabilities." Maya kept her expression neutral. "I find the subject matter interesting, Professor." "Yes, I can see that." Veltar activated a privacy screen around his office. "What I find curious is the specificity of your knowledge. Your analysis of Kryllian neural pathways was particularly impressive, almost as if you had practical experience with such anatomy." "I study hard," Maya replied, meeting his multifaceted gaze directly. Veltar leaned forward, his crystalline features shifting to what Maya recognized as amusement. "Miss Chen, I believe we should discuss your future career options. There are certain opportunities available for individuals with your particular talents." Over the next hour, Professor Veltar revealed himself as a recruiter for the Galactic Defense Initiative's Classified Special Operations Division. The GDI was seeking individuals capable of handling threats that conventional military forces couldn't address. Threats that required surgical precision and complete deniability. "We know what you did to those Vashti guards," Veltar said finally. "We also know why you did it. The question is whether you're interested in expanding your mission." Maya considered the offer carefully. Official sanctioning would provide resources and targets that her current position couldn't access, but it would also place her under supervision and limit her operational freedom. "What kind of missions?" she asked. "The kind that prevent wars instead of fighting them," Veltar replied. "The galaxy faces threats that diplomacy cannot address. Species that view peaceful coexistence as weakness to be exploited. Your talents could ensure such threats are neutralized before they become problems." Maya accepted the position that same day. Her first official mission came 2 weeks later. Intelligence reports indicated that the hegemony Vashti were secretly developing biological weapons designed specifically to target human physiology. The weapons were being tested at a research facility in the Outer Rim, beyond the reach of conventional law enforcement. Maya's assignment was simple: infiltrate the facility and eliminate the research team. Leave no survivors, no evidence, and no trace of human involvement. She departed the academy on a routine training mission, her official records showing participation in a deep space navigation exercise. In reality, she boarded a stealth transport that carried her to the edge of Vashti space. The research facility orbited a dead planet, protected by automated defenses and a garrison of 30 enhanced warriors. Standard military doctrine would have required a full assault fleet to neutralize such a target. Maya eliminated the entire facility with nothing more than a maintenance shuttle and a collection of improvised weapons. She began by infiltrating the facility's supply chain, introducing a neurotropic virus into their food systems that specifically targeted Vashti brain chemistry. Within hours, half the garrison was suffering from severe cognitive impairment. The remainder found their enhanced reflexes mysteriously failing as Maya picked them off one by one through the facility's maintenance ducts. The research team died last, each elimination designed to look like an accident or equipment malfunction. By the time Maya finished her work, the facility appeared to have suffered a catastrophic system failure that killed everyone aboard. She returned to the academy 3 days later, her official records showing successful completion of the navigation exercise. Her instructors praised her performance and noted her improved confidence in simulated emergency situations. Maya's second mission targeted a Thrakari slave trading operation that had been capturing human colonists for sale in illegal markets. Official diplomatic protests had been ignored, leaving entire settlements vulnerable to ongoing raids. Maya solved the problem by eliminating every Thrakari involved in the operation, along with their buyers, suppliers, and financial backers. The slave trade network collapsed overnight when its key personnel began dying in increasingly creative ways. Her third mission addressed a Mordanian military commander who had been developing plans for a preemptive strike against Earth's orbital defense platforms. Maya eliminated him during a diplomatic reception, using a neurotoxin that mimicked natural heart failure. The Mordanian invasion plans died with their architect. Word began to spread through the galaxy's criminal and military networks. Human space had become dangerous for those who viewed humanity as prey. Operations that would have proceeded without concern now faced the possibility of sudden, inexplicable deaths among key personnel. The message was subtle, but unmistakable. Humans were no longer victims. Maya's reputation at the academy remained unchanged. She still sat quietly in the back of classrooms, still spoke in whispers when called upon, still appeared to be just another damaged colonial survivor trying to find her place in the galaxy. But intelligence agencies across the galactic community had begun compiling files on human special operations capabilities. Military planners were revising their assessments of human defensive potential. Diplomatic corps were receiving new instructions about engagement protocols with human representatives. The quiet girl in the back of the classroom had become a force that shaped galactic policy through the simple expedient of making the galaxy's predators afraid to prey on humanity. Maya's instructors began noting improvement in her social interactions and academic performance. She was participating more in class discussions, showing increased confidence in tactical scenarios, and even forming tentative friendships with some of her classmates. What they didn't realize was that Maya Chen was finally becoming the person she had always been meant to be. Not the last survivor of Colony Kepler 442b, but the first defender of human space. The galaxy was learning that humans could be more than victims. They could be hunters. And Maya Chen was teaching that lesson one carefully targeted elimination at a time. On graduation day, Maya stood with her class as they received their commissions in the Galactic Defense Forces. Her assignment was to the Diplomatic Protection Service, a posting that would allow her to travel throughout the galaxy while maintaining her cover as an unremarkable security specialist. Her classmates congratulated her on the posting, viewing it as a quiet position suitable for someone with her withdrawn personality. They had no idea that the galaxy's most dangerous predators were already marking her arrival on their threat assessment charts. Ambassador Velnash of the Vashti hegemony watched the graduation ceremony from the diplomatic gallery. He had requested permission to attend, claiming interest in the Academy's human development programs. In reality, he wanted to see the face of his civilization's greatest enemy as she stepped into her new role. Maya caught his gaze during the ceremony, offering the same polite nod she would give any distinguished visitor. But Velnash saw the message in her dark eyes. The war was just beginning, and she intended to win it. As the ceremony concluded and the new graduates dispersed to their assignments, Maya collected her official orders and personal effects. Hidden among her belongings was a datapad containing target profiles for 17 high-value enemies of human civilization. Her handlers at the GDI had provided her with enough work to keep busy for the next several years. Maya smiled as she reviewed the list. It was good to have clear objectives. The silent girl in the back of the classroom was about to teach the galaxy that humans were no longer prey. They were apex predators who had simply been waiting for the right moment to show their teeth. And Maya Chen was looking forward to the hunting season.